Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, sounds good.
Um, Juliet, did you say you're rolling now or not yet?
Yep,
Okay.
yeah, I am.
I was even thinking, right, whether I'm allowed to drink, right? I
Oh
saw
yeah,
the other
please.
interview.
I
Oh
have
my
my
God.
tea ready.
Yeah.
Have your beverage ready.
Okay, cool. So it is so great to see you, Sajeev, and I'm so excited to introduce you to our team here. Though I think maybe you have met Amanda before. Is
Yeah,
that
I
right?
met Amanda.
Hi,
Yeah.
Sajeev.
Yeah. So this is Amanda Krugliak, our arts curator at the Institute for the Humanities.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah,
Hi.
and I'm excited to introduce you also to Angela Abiodun, who is newer to our
Yeah.
team and uh,
Hello.
joins us now as our community outreach manager. So, and I'm Juliet, but you know that I'm Juliet, and
Yeah.
I'm the arts production coordinator at the
Cool.
gallery. So, and making these videos with visiting artists from all over Michigan. So, thank you so much for
Thanks
yeah,
for
for
inviting
inviting
me.
us into your
It's a great,
space today.
platform, to discuss about work, right? And I'm a new person here, right? So it's all, to meet people. It's all I'm missing all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, so are we. And I have to say, it's just so great that through this, we're able to meet new artists and people that otherwise we might not have had a chance to talk to. So it's just really valuable to us as well. I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about this, a backstory. We've been in lockdown now almost a month, and I wanted to just explain sort of the history of the project conceptually. We had plans to do a regional show with the support of the Mellon Foundation over the summer. And with the pandemic, it became, painfully obvious that all of that would have to change, and we wanted to respond so much and reach out to artists, understanding these relationships as being so important. So, in a responsive way, we came up with this idea of house calls as a means to check in with artists, quite literally, just see how everybody's doing and how they're moving through this as a check in. So that's what this is about.
Yeah.
And with that, I guess I would just ask you. We, as I said, have been here now a month. Things are different than a few weeks ago. We're staying at home now. There are some economic relief measures in place, but it also feels as if there's this open-endedness or uncertainty in regards to a path moving forward. So,
Yeah.
how are you with all of that? How are you?
I'm doing okay actually, like yes, like this isolation is a bit tougher, I relocated to Ann Arbor from India, and I'm from a place with a lot of chaos, a lot of people, crowd and all, right? So when I came here, I was like already isolated, right? And on top of it, this isolation, like social distancing. I have friends now, so I'm not able to meet them. I'm not able to have coffee with them, discuss things with them, And I also, this is like, I miss friends, but I also miss teaching because I teach at University of Michigan Museum, on Ann Arbor Arts Center, District Library, right? So I always miss that kind of interaction. Artists can't really sit all the time in the studio, right? Interaction always help me, to be calmer, and that part is really missing in this isolation, social distancing, right? Yeah.
I think that's so difficult. The one-on-one connection that so many of us have, and how important that what we get from other people.
That's true.
That is
Yeah.
what's missing. The absence of that
Yeah.
energy and
Yeah.
ideas from other
Yeah.
people.
Mm.
Like when I was in India, right? It's like, um, before going to my studio space, we go to street tea vendors and have tea, right? You
Mhm.
talk to strangers, you get,
Mhm.
you see their life, It's amazing, we need to see people first, then we'll go to studio, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I think too that being in isolation with only your own thoughts, your own perspectives, your own opinions, what's really keeps us vital and thinking, and what's at the key of all of that is being refreshed constantly
Yeah,
by other people's
that's you,
energy.
you need to have an interaction.
And do you have a family? Are you,
Yeah,
yeah, tell us a
yeah,
little bit about that.
yeah. I got married here. Anna is from US, and she's a historian. And she came to my place like where I studied. She was doing her research, so that's the that's where we met, right? Yeah. Then I just relocated. Like artists can work anywhere, right? We are flexible. Yeah.
I think that flexibility is amazing, but I would also wonder, it makes me think just about finding some like stability in this moment, and finding some groundedness in this moment. And I wonder, with that flexibility and the possibility to do so much, what are you prioritizing now? I think in the past month, looking at my life and like looking at my focus, my priorities have changed, my concerns have changed, what I'm writing about has changed. And so we would love to hear, what are you prioritizing? Are there any things that feel important to prepare for, to think about, given how much time we've been in this unique moment?
There is a lot of changes. Like for me, this isolation is giving me a space to think about reinventing my thoughts, right? Like
Mm.
the way I used to work earlier, the images I like earlier, it was all images from India, like people, farmers, protest images. uh, all this works have this Indianness. We say Indianness, right? Like images from India, right? So,
Hmm.
and after coming here, I have this kind of, feeling that, I am here, I see new things, new people, but I was not feeling so comfortable because I'm new here. I don't know the history. I don't know any of this, right? But
Yeah.
when this lockdown, this pandemic came, right? It's like it's the reality is like very similar everywhere.
It is an
So
equalizer.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, that is like really connecting me. The people affected here, how administration is like responding to certain situations, how minorities are discriminated, all this kind of issues. Like there is a kind of parallel similarity I see, right, in India and US now. So in India, it's like uh, minorities, like Muslims are blamed because the right-wing government, right-wing people, right? Uh, they think that it's spread by Muslims,
Oh,
right?
that
So they are responsible.
coronaviruses.
Yeah, there is like
Oh,
what do you
wow.
say? There is like a conspiracy theory about it, right? Like before this lockdown, there was a religious gathering, and people started, like people, the political, I don't know, like it's like political affiliated people. They started going to street and asking their name. If you have a Muslim name, you are not supposed to open the shop. They think that they will spread this coronavirus kind of stuff, beaten up, all this kind of things happen,
Mm.
right? So it's like in India, it's like not not being a Muslim is privilege. It's a kind of privilege.
Mhm.
The way white person have privilege here, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
So it's like a kind of a similar things I see, during this episode actually.
Yeah, and I would say during the coronavirus, there's been a uptick in violence towards East Asian folks, and
That's
especially like Chinese
yeah.
individuals. And so, like, who is being blamed for the virus, and then what does their society do in response to that? Has been an interesting thing to see, because I've seen that conversation happen worldwide, where,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting to hear about how like you're finding similarities between these two places in this moment because of the pandemic, and also like the way that the themes in your work previously are becoming newly relevant, or like relevant in under new lenses now. And
yeah,
um,
yeah.
so Could you walk? Can we see some
Yeah,
of the
yeah. So
stuff
so
that you're
so
working
I can
on?
show you what I was doing earlier and what is my plan now, right? You can see that kind of shift when I show you these things. So I will slowly move the laptop, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
great. Yeah.
can you see this image?
Yes.
This image I really wish to explain. It's called unknown celebration. It's a kind of vast land, like it's a landscape with there is no audience, and this band team is playing music for unknown reason and for unknown people. There is no person, right? We don't know anything about it. So that is like unknown celebration for me. And I'm slowly moving to another celebration of the band team, and it's like I'm still, this process is going on.
Mm.
Like I need to add more elements to it.
Wow.
And
Is that
these
like
are,
an orchestra or a band you said?
it's a band. It's a
Mm.
police band in India. They have a
Mm.
band, and they do this kind of celebrations. But I'm
The
using it as
police
a
do? Is
different.
that what you said? The
Yeah,
police?
yeah. It's a
Wow. Okay.
cops band. This particular image is a kind of cop band, a Delhi cop.
Wow. Okay.
So I need to add more images to it, figures to it. So I'm moving slowly, and this is another work, and this image is from Kashmir. This
Wow.
image is from, it's a protest image. Indian soldiers, like military, they use pellet guns to disperse crowd, and most of the people, they lost their eyes.
Mm.
You know,
Wow.
it's like the injuries are like very small, but it's really fatal, and people
Yeah.
lost their eyes. And the youngest person who died is like 2 years, 3 years old. That kind of
Mm.
atrocities. So mostly I take these images. I do believe it's kind of responsibility to whatever I feel, right, to depict in my paper. I do have friends from Kashmir. They don't have the equal right as of me, right? That kind of stuff. Yeah, this is, I'm moving towards this side, and this is like screen printing table for me. I'm
Can
not
you
doing
tilt it
screen.
down just a little bit? Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sajeev. Yeah. Great.
and this is the newest project, and this is like small boxes. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, this is like a dead body, and this is like feet.
Can you talk a little more about these in particular? Because I was so struck by how each of them is almost a trace in the same way the drawings feel like an imprint or a trace.
Yeah, yeah.
That
I'm,
these two
yeah,
feel that way to me.
yeah. I'm moving towards this side because I have more images here, so that I
Oh,
can
wow. Yeah.
explain you better, right?
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that and
Yeah.
also the relationship of that work to the drawing because they feel very much a tether between them.
So this image, can you see it?
Hold it. Try holding it right up to the camera a little closer. Yeah.
This is a body. This is a person who got injured by pellet guns. So pellet guns make this kind of injury, like it's like small injuries, but it's really fatal, right?
Mm.
And this is one of the image. So these boxes I collected from flea markets in India. Like this I since 10 more than 10 years I'm collecting this thing, right? And now, like, and these elements, this images came later. So these are the images. I can show you a few more images. See, this box, I never opened it. This belongs to a watch repair guy, right? And I'm sure he died,
I
you
can
know?
see the little gears in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I never opened this, right? So boxes have this kind of purpose. There is a purpose for it, right? People keeps small objects, gifts, thing, memories. So for
Yeah.
me, this is like fragmented. All these debbas are like fragmented memories,
Mm.
and you know, like most of the images are mostly like political images. There is images which deal with gender issues too. So political images. Uh, the regime, present regime or earlier regime, they try to erase this kind of, they don't want people to talk about it. So for me, it's a kind of, take those images and draw it. So I really feel like there is a kind of thread when this isolation particularly came, right? Like which I can connect much more easier because this issue is affecting all over, and that is the thread I wanted to keep in my mind whenever I start new works. So I do have many other works which is like this is all found objects, okay, found objects, found images, whatever. Some there is like some still lives. So what my plan is, this is not yet completed. I will be wrapping this works with the cycle tubes,
Oh, those
because
are bicycle tubes?
bicycle tubes. So
Ah,
in India, like street vendors, they carry this wooden boxes to keep their bangles and jewelries,
Yeah.
right? And they tie it on to their bike. So I just wanted to adopt that, the way they take care of their stuffs, right? It's that for them, it's like survival. Actually, for me, it's a kind of purpose. There is a purpose. I don't want anyone to, forget things, during because of this lockdown. Like my imaginary is like really changing. Like basically, I'm not working. My thought, the process is working. What should I do next, right?
yeah.
So I was like, this image is from Las Vegas.
Yep.
You know,
That Las Vegas
homeless
parking lot.
homeless people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
doing this so that they will keep this, they are keeping everyone in grid, you know for like there is like even in India, this image is from India. See this, all these metropolitan cities in India, Delhi, Bombay, they're all made by migrants. Like migrants means like people from different states in India, right? And they all come there, they build their life because they won't get much good wages in their villages, so they don't have home, they live in streets. So all of a sudden when this lockdown happened, the government forced this, they locked down all of a sudden without informing them, without giving them adequate time to to go back home. So these people were stuck there, and they started walking to their home like 1,000 miles. Can you imagine? And
Wow.
60, 70, like around 100 people, around, I don't remember like how much people died because they don't have water, food, everything is like shut, right? So that kind of crisis. So some governments, like some places, like people are helping, activists are helping them to have shelters, kind of stuffs. But there is always like people who helps them, right? To get food. Like many people die. So this is the image from India which I'm really looking forward, and like it's very similar, right? What's happening here, Las Vegas, you know, the
Yeah,
grid,
very
right?
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kind of social distancing, right? Like they, inside the grid, they are not supposed to go out, kind of restrictions. So at the same time, when this lockdown came in Iran, mosques were converted into hospitals, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So
That
this
takes
kind of
us back.
displacement, right? Yeah. Even temples, in temples and churches, like churches here is converted into, all these
Yeah.
religious places converted into hospitals, and home to homeless people and all these things, right? So
Yeah.
I am just trying to develop certain thoughts. I'm not working right now, but I'm restless basically.
I think just thinking about these themes you're bringing up, Sajeev, in terms of the relationships now you're making of image to place, and also the way in your work, whether it be drawing or object, it seems to bear witness in a way. It's again this evidence or speaks to inequity, speaks to violence, speaks to a record of these different experiences, and it brings me to this place, and be patient in me getting there. But this way, spiritually, what's different about this time spiritually, that I've been struggling with the notion of the connection of the physical to the spiritual and our sense of space. And as artists, we're always thinking about impermanence or thinking about uncertainty as a way to sort through something or make sense of something. And yet now it's so beyond metaphor or beyond just this impulse or inspiration, that question of where we reside spiritually in terms of our emotional attachments to place. It feels completely upended, the relationship between place and one's spirituality or physical and the emotional. So I wondered if you could address that as an artist who is accustomed to delving into these difficult areas in this state of upendedness. How does that feel right now for you as an artist?
Everyone is like isolated. Everyone is like struggling with their needs, right? People are not able to survive. You know, you can't teach, you can't go and get your materials. You can't get any inspiration around. Uh, I do believe like sometimes artists, you know, it's the best time to change their approach, you know, the way you were working earlier, the kind of change. I really wish the approach should change so that, artists should see what's happening around their society, what's happening to their, happening to the people with color. Like, I do believe such kind of social responsibility should come first, then respond to it, right? Like, I do feel
Yeah.
they should change their approach to in seeing things. It's not like, you paint this and yeah, you make a lot of money, but I'm not like, everyone has a different approach, but this is a common factor which all connect all of us without race, you know, religion, no border for this, right? So this is the best time to realize ourselves as human, right? First.
There's a lot of space to connect in that way, and hopefully people take this time to like jump into conversations, thinking about each other as human,
Yes.
and understanding themselves as human. I think what you're offering comes after a lot of self-reflection, I would place on the
Yes.
table. And I think you're offering a meaningful perspective to myself, maybe a group of individuals who are very thinking in a US centric way. I think there's the way in this moment US individuals can be pulled and pushed to be more globalistic and understanding of our position as global beings, and structures and systems not always aligning with what we understand to be
That's true.
reality.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a concern too, right? Yeah, hopefully everything will settle down. Yeah.
That is
It
the
takes,
question. What will this look like after?
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, kind of like looking right now, the future of things like settling down is completely unknown. And so thinking about that, and also, Sajeev, something you said earlier was like the job is to take social action first and then go into the studio, or like that's got me thinking about like this bigger question that we want to ask, we want to ask of artists right now is like, in this time where there's so much uncertainty, there's so much unrest, there's so much trouble, like, what do you think the role of artists in this time is? Like, what is our job right now?
I do believe people should try to understand, the reality, right? How people face in terms of religion, race, So I want them to, start thinking about from the bottom, bottom from their heart, like, try to help each other. I'm sure we'll all survive, right? So uh, I also suggested like the approach towards art should also change because reality is in front of them. People are not eating properly. People are not sleeping properly. They don't have a house. It's the same everywhere. So I do suggest everyone to be, to see things, to see the reality all around, and to help each other. I'm not saying I'm sure like everyone has politics. It's not like, you don't have politics. I make, you know still lives or whatever, right? Everyone has politics, right? So it should be slightly, refined now. Actually, you can make a landscape and you can be political too, right? So with that kind of sensitivity, I hope people should, gain during this lockdown period. We all have to work together. You can't be, selfish, or you have to hold hand in hand, to support each other as an artist or any other human being. Yeah.
I think that this is kind of speaks to what when Angela, this idea we're just surviving, and also as artists we're humanists. That this isn't a metaphor. It's not a poem. It's not a masterpiece. It's really a time as humanists coming from this deep place of connection with one another, where we have a responsibility to one another. And how could we possibly process this in the moment? It's so complicated. It feels that the one thing we can do as creative people is the immediacy is really the response to one another, to what we're going through, to what other people are going through. That's the connection that binds us, which comes through in your work, but also in what you're saying, that in this lack of connection, in the absence of that, there becomes this very clear connection between us.
Yeah. And there is no border for it right now. So for me, it's like a wide perspective I have, right? So so during this lockdown, I'm doing these sketches, and even these weeds, right? For me, I love weeds, because it's like kind of hidden violence is there, right? Thorns and all. Like you can see this sharp,
Yeah,
I'm going to
soft,
make
sweet
this in
things.
a composition. We say compositions, right? So this is going to be in a bigger work, in a bigger scale, but there will be elements, right? The way I treated fragment memories, those small elements can be hanging from whatever, right? It's like kind of process I'm going through, but these sketches always help for me, and this process always goes. It's not like I stop working, right? Yeah, it's like that.
Well, it seems like you found a way to still create, even if it's not to the scale or tied to the projects that you've already been working on. And I wonder, as someone who will often write down lines or words as a way to keep me grounded and connected to writing, what keeps you grounded, either to your art or just in this moment, but what's keeping you grounded, or what do you look to in tough moments?
So, can you see this?
You have a small little herb garden?
Yeah, it's like seeds.
Seeds, yeah.
I do have a baby. I do have cats. So I do enjoy gardening, right? I do believe it reduces my stress. I enjoy gardening. And this is the thing I'm doing right now, it's makes me, really grounded, basically.
Yeah,
so
putting your hands in dirt.
Yeah.
And as much as people are kind of getting outside, I don't know what anyone else's neighborhood looks like, but I'll go on like walks every once in a while. How we're interacting on the street is very
gardening helped me.
different.
If you do gardening, people will talk to you, And I have neighbors. Like I got inspired with one of my neighbor, I go for walk. So that really helped, And I love the way people just smile. It's a Midwest thing, right? When you go to when you go to grocery shops, they will ask you, "How are you doing? How is your day? What is your supply?" I got shocked when they asked me. I got speechless. I never heard about such things. People asking each other, right? So when I went to New Jersey, it was so different. I thought, "Oh my God, this lady is rude to me. It's really I have different thought, kind of stuff, right?" So I'm looking through different ways. I feel happy at the same time. I feel sad also, but you need to have that kind of, optimistic, you have to be optimistic, right? To take your art forward, to tell what you want to tell, right? And to give solidarity, or you need to have a strong mind to do all this kind of things. And my family is very supportive, and I'm doing okay.
I think that's such a great point about like you just really have to believe in what you're doing, whether it's your social mission or your creative mission, or I think that's a really nice way to kind of think about like the way creativity and artists work. Like that kind of drive is necessary to make change in lots of facets of life and
Yeah, you
society.
need you need to have you have a choice, but I really believe now it's the time for everyone to think in that way, right? In terms of humanity, whatever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Just
there's a
trying to connect
possibility to
everything.
change how you
Yeah,
think and
there is
change how
there,
you
there is
relate.
there is no virus doesn't know it's an artist, Stay away. It's like all are same right now. So let's think in that way and help each other.
It's kind of like the question of like if you meet your end and there's still possibility, what do you want that possibility to be? Like what space do you want to potentially open up for what you can do and who you can be?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, Sajeev, thank you so
Thank you,
much
Sajeev.
Thank
for.
Thank
you.
you so much. Nice talking to you guys. And you guys are welcome to my studio whenever after this lockdown.
Yes.
Yes, I
See,
I
Thank
look
you.
yeah,
forward to seeing you in real life
yeah.
again,
And thanks
hopefully
for
sooner than
inviting me.
later.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
me too. Thank you
Yeah,
so much,
Amanda,
Sajeev.
Angela, thank you so much.
Goodbye,
Thank
Bye
dear.
bye.
you.
See
Bye.
ya.